What if the universe wasn't a random, chaotic accident? What if, beneath the surface of everyday life, there was a hidden order, a rational blueprint that governs everything from the silent dance of galaxies to the deepest workings of your own mind? The ancient Stoics believed there was. They had a name for it: the Logos. This single Greek word is one of the most profound and influential concepts in the history of Western thought. It's a concept that means far more than just logic or word. For the Stoics, the Logos was the divine reason of the cosmos, the universal law, the very mind of God. It was the principle that created the world, that sustains it, and that guides it towards its ultimate purpose. And most importantly, they believed that a spark of this divine fire exists within every single one of us. The word logos comes from the Greek verb legein, meaning to speak, to gather, or to put in order. In everyday ancient Greek, it could mean a word, a speech, an argument, or an account. But in the hands of philosophers, it became something far more significant. It became a technical term for the rational principle that underlies all of reality. Understanding the Logos is the key to unlocking the entire Stoic system. It's the foundation for their ideas about physics, ethics, fate, and freedom. It's the reason why they believed we must live in accordance with nature, and it's the source of the profound inner peace and resilience they sought. In this video, we will journey to the heart of this powerful idea. We will explore where it came from, how the Stoics developed it into a complete philosophy for life, and what it means to live in harmony with the universal reason today. To understand the Stoic Logos, we must first travel back in time, before Zeno and the founding of the Stoa, to the enigmatic philosopher Heraclitus of Ephesus. Living around 500 BC, Heraclitus was known as the Obscure for his cryptic and paradoxical sayings. He was a man who chose solitude over society and who looked at the world with the eyes of a mystic and a scientist combined. Heraclitus saw the world in a state of constant flux, famously stating that you cannot step into the same river twice. Everything flows, everything changes. The universe is not a static thing, but a dynamic process. Yet beneath this constant change, he perceived a single unifying principle, an underlying order that governed the chaos. He called it the Logos. Heraclitus declared, "Listening not to me but to the Logos, it is wise to agree that all things are one." For him, the Logos was the universal formula or measure that explains the nature of the cosmos. It was the principle that holds opposites in a state of creative tension, creating a hidden harmony. "The path up and down are one and the same," he wrote. "Day needs night to be day. Life needs death to be life." The Logos was this unity in opposition, the unseen connection that binds all things together into a coherent whole. Yet Heraclitus lamented that most people were completely unaware of this universal principle. He said, "Although the Logos is common, most people live as if they had their own private understanding. They were like sleepwalkers, lost in their own small private worlds, failing to see the common divine law that governs everything." This idea of a universal reason that most people ignore would become a cornerstone of Stoic thought. Heraclitus often associated the Logos with fire. Not ordinary fire, but a metaphorical, ever-living fire that is kindled in measures and extinguished in measures. This fire was the fundamental substance of the universe, the agent of change, and the embodiment of rational order. It was this concept of a divine, rational, and fiery principle that the Stoics would seize upon 2 centuries later and build into one of the most comprehensive and enduring philosophies the world has ever known. 2 centuries after Heraclitus, a shipwrecked merchant named Zeno of Citium would take this idea of a universal logos and forge it into the very heart of a new philosophy, Stoicism. Zeno had lost everything in a shipwreck and wandered into an Athenian bookshop where he discovered philosophy. He studied under multiple teachers, absorbing the wisdom of the Cynics, the Megarians, and the Academy. And then he began to teach his own philosophy in a public colonnade called the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch, from which Stoicism gets its name. For Zeno and his followers, the Logos was not just an abstract principle of order. It was a living, breathing, and all-pervasive reality. It was, in the simplest terms, God. But not a God who sits outside the universe, watching from a distance. The Stoic God is the universe. The Logos is immanent. It exists within everything, animating and organizing all of matter from the inside out. The Stoics were materialists. They believed that everything, including God and the soul, was physical. They identified the Logos with this divine artistic fire, a rational and purposeful substance that acts as the active principle of the universe. This active principle, the Logos, works upon passive matter, shaping and organizing it from within, giving form and function to everything that exists. This is why the Stoics used the terms Logos, God, nature, and fate almost interchangeably. They were all different names for the same thing: the rational, divine, and deterministic order of the cosmos. To explain how the Logos directs creation, the Stoics introduced the concept of Logos Spermatikos, or the generative seeds of reason. They believed that the universal Logos contained these seminal principles for everything that would ever come to be. Each individual thing, from a simple plant to a complex human being, contains its own Spermatikos Logos, a blueprint that guides its growth and development. This is the law of its own nature, the internal programming that directs it towards its specific end. The acorn grows into an oak, not a fig tree, because it is following the rational seed of its own nature, which is part of the greater Logos of the universe. And this brings us to the most radical and empowering aspect of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that the human mind, our capacity for reason, is a literal fragment, a spark of the divine Logos. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius called it a fragment of God. Our individual Logos is a piece of the universal Logos. This is not a metaphor. For the Stoics, we are quite literally children of God, sharing in the same divine reason that governs the entire cosmos. Cleanthes, the second head of the Stoic school, expressed this beautifully in his hymn to Zeus. He wrote, "Most glorious of immortals, many-named, almighty forever, Zeus, ruler of nature, guiding all things by law, it is right for mortals to address you, for we are your offspring. This is the foundation of our dignity, our potential for virtue, and our profound connection to the whole of existence. We are not strangers in a cold, indifferent universe. We are part of it. We belong here. The same reason that moves the stars moves within us." Chrysippus, the third head of the school who systematized Stoic philosophy into a comprehensive system, developed this idea further. He argued that our ruling faculty, the Hegemonikon, is a portion of the cosmic pneuma, the divine breath that animates all things. When we reason correctly, we are not just thinking our own thoughts. We are participating in the thought of the universe itself. This is why the Stoics placed such immense emphasis on logic and clear thinking. To reason well is to align yourself with the divine. So, if we are all part of this divine, rational cosmos, and our own reason is a spark of the universal Logos, what does this mean for how we should live? For the Stoics, the answer was simple and profound. The goal of life is to live in agreement with nature. And since nature is the same as the Logos, this means our primary duty is to live according to reason, both our own reason and the universal reason of the cosmos. This is the core of Stoic ethics. Virtue, the Stoics argued, is the only true good. And virtue is nothing more than a state of the soul where our will and actions are in perfect harmony with the divine Logos. When we use our reason to make just, courageous, temperate, and wise choices, we are not just following some arbitrary set of rules. We are aligning ourselves with the very nature of the universe. We are tuning our individual instrument to the symphony of the cosmos. This is why the Stoics placed such immense value on the faculty of reason. It is our connection to God, our internal guide. When faced with a difficult situation, the Stoic asks, what would reason demand? What is the logical and virtuous path? They believed that external events, wealth, health, reputation, are ultimately indifferent. They are the raw material that the Logos provides. What truly matters is how we use our reason to respond to these events. Our moral purpose, according to Epictetus, is to deal with impressions rationally. Epictetus, the former slave who became one of the most influential Stoic teachers, put it this way: "Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. This is the famous dichotomy of control, and it is rooted in the understanding that the external world unfolds according to the logos, according to fate. Our freedom lies not in controlling external events, but in controlling our response to them. Living according to the logos also means understanding our place within the whole. The Stoics were radical cosmopolitans. Because we all share in the same divine reason, we are all citizens of a single, universal city. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "My nature is rational and social, and my city and country, so far as I am Antoninus, is Rome, but so far as I am a man, it is the world." The Logos teaches us that we are not isolated individuals, but interconnected parts of a single organism, bound by a web of mutual obligation and care. This concept, which they called Sympatheia, or cosmic sympathy, is the rational basis for empathy, compassion, and justice. Marcus Aurelius meditated on this constantly. He wrote, "Frequently consider the connection of all things in the universe. We should not say, 'I am an Athenian' or 'I am a Roman,' but 'I am a citizen of the universe.'" This was a revolutionary idea in the ancient world, where identity was tied to city-states and tribal affiliations. The Stoics declared that all human beings, regardless of their nationality, social status, or gender, share in the same divine reason and therefore deserve the same fundamental respect. A slave like Epictetus and an emperor like Marcus Aurelius were equals in the most important sense. They were both fragments of the same divine logos. One of the most challenging aspects of Stoic philosophy is their view of fate. If the logos is a deterministic force that governs all events, then isn't everything predetermined? Don't we lose our freedom? The Stoics had a sophisticated answer to this question. Yes, they said, everything that happens is determined by the chain of cause and effect that is the logos. The universe unfolds according to a rational plan. But this does not mean we are mere puppets. Our own reason, our own logos, is part of that cosmic chain. When we make a choice based on reason, we are not fighting against fate. We are participating in it. We are the universe becoming conscious of itself and choosing its own path. Seneca used a famous analogy. Imagine a dog tied to a cart. If the cart moves, the dog will be pulled along whether it wants to or not. But the dog has a choice. It can resist, be dragged along miserably, and exhaust itself fighting the inevitable. Or it can run alongside the cart willingly, accepting its situation and making the best of it. The cart will move either way. The only question is whether the dog will suffer or not. This is the Stoic attitude toward fate. We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. We can choose to align our will with the will of the universe, to accept what the Logos provides, and to focus our energy on what is actually within our power, our own thoughts, judgments, and actions. This is not passive resignation, it is active acceptance. It is freedom within necessity. This might all sound very abstract, a divine cosmic fire, a universal reason, fate and freedom. But how do we actually apply this powerful concept in our messy, complicated modern lives? The Stoics were intensely practical philosophers, and they provided clear guidance on how to connect with the Logos within, even in the face of chaos and adversity. First, practice the view from above. When you feel overwhelmed by your personal problems, Marcus Aurelius advised to zoom out. Picture your street, your city, your country, the Earth, the entire solar system, the galaxy. See your own life as a tiny point in the vastness of space and time. This isn't to make you feel insignificant, but to put your problems in perspective. It allows you to see the bigger picture, the grand rational order of the Logos, in which your current frustration is just one tiny transient event. Second, use your rational faculty to dissect impressions. The Stoics taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. When you feel a rush of anger, fear, or desire, pause. Don't let the raw impression carry you away. Use your inner logos to examine it. Ask yourself, is this event truly good or bad? Is it up to me? What is the rational and virtuous way to respond? This process of logical analysis creates a space between stimulus and response. a space where you can choose to act in accordance with reason rather than being controlled by emotion. Epictetus taught his students to say to every harsh impression, "You are an impression, and not at all what you appear to be." This simple practice of stepping back and questioning our automatic reactions is one of the most powerful tools the Stoics gave us. It is the practical application of the Logos in everyday life. Third, contemplate nature. To live in agreement with nature, you must study it. Spend time observing the natural world, not just as a pretty backdrop, but as a manifestation of the Logos. See the logic in the changing seasons, the efficiency in the design of a flower, the uncomplaining resilience of a tree. By observing the rational order of the world around you, you strengthen your connection to the rational order within you. You are reminding yourself that you are part of this magnificent logical system. Fourth, remember your connection to others. When you encounter difficult people, remember that they too carry a spark of the divine Logos. They too are struggling to live according to their understanding of what is good. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own." The concept of the Logos did not end with the ancient Stoics. It flowed into other philosophical and religious traditions. The Gospel of John famously begins, "In the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God." While the Christian understanding of the Logos differs from the Stoic one, the influence is clear. The idea of a divine reason that creates and sustains the universe has proven to be one of the most enduring concepts in human thought. Today, in our age of anxiety and information overload, the Stoic concept of the Logos is more relevant than ever. It offers us a way to find meaning and order in a world that often seems chaotic and absurd. It reminds us that we are not alone, that we are connected to something larger than ourselves, and that we have within us the capacity to live wisely and well. The Logos is not some distant, unknowable deity. It is the very fabric of reality, and it is the best part of yourself. It is the voice of reason that whispers beneath the noise of your passions. It is the unbreakable connection you share with every other human being and every part of the cosmos. To live as a Stoic is to choose, moment by moment, to listen to that voice, to trust in that order, and to live as a conscious and willing participant in the grand, rational, and divine drama of the universe. The Logos is always there, waiting for you to tune in. The question is, will you listen? If this exploration of the Logos has resonated with you, consider subscribing to this channel for more deep dives into Stoic philosophy and practical wisdom for modern life. Remember, you carry a spark of the divine within you. Use it wisely.